everybody, Justin Feldman, Feldman Physical Therapy and Performance. So we're going to do a little bit of talk on some injury prevention and some things that we like to use specifically with climbers. I think that climbing is a really, really great activity. It's a great sport. It's a really good lifelong sport, but it definitely tends to put your body into positions and areas that you might not be used to. And so training yourself to get comfortable in those positions can be really important, not only for injury prevention, but also for performance. So first thing we like to try and do is get an idea of the overall concept of what we're going to try and get everybody to do. So this is sort of an easy exercise for this. And what we like to do is get you into the end range of motion of any position. But for now, we're going to kind of use your hips. So we're going to go sit up nice and tall. I'm going to kind of turn a little bit for you. You're going to come forward. And then what we're going to do is you're just going to say, okay, I'm at the end of this range of motion. And then while your hip flexor's at its shortest position, you're going to just lift your leg up in the air. So you're going to make it contract while it's in its shortest position, and then hold and come back down and kind of go back and forth. And then we could basically play with this however we want. We could say, all right, we're going to lift up. We're going to come out and drop it down. Lift up, come out, and drop it down. And you're basically going to feel some cramps, and you're going to feel some spasming in some different areas. But this is a really, really good way to start to get your body used to functioning at the end of the range of motion. So now what we're going to try and do is we're going to bring you into some different positions. And what we're going to start off with is we're going to take you and we're going to get you to just sort of rotate your hip out into this position. And then now we've got your hip flexor sort of stretched in the opposite position. You can either be balanced here, or if you want to show off, you can keep your hands up here. And what you're going to try and do is get this to contract and rotate you up. And so we're going to lift and come down. You're going to try and isolate it, lift, and come down. If that seems kind of hard and you really need to like rotate and shift, you can even shift yourself around, bring this leg in closer so you're not stretching from both sides. And then you're going to see you can get up and into that end range of motion a little bit more. And then what we're going to do is once we work that, we're going to just work the opposite side of the joint. So you can kind of lay down, keep that in the same position, and now what you're going to try and do is get your leg off the ground and get it to hover. And then from there, we can play with rotating in that position. So it's really all just playing around with the same concept. And what we're trying to do is get you to teach your joints how to function in that end range of motion without having to put you on a rock or put you on a wall and make you deal with it in that position. We could sort of train you on the floor to get better up there. Good. So, all right, spend a little bit of time playing around with hips. Next thing we're going to look at is what we like to start with for shoulders and getting into some positions there. So exact same concept. We want to get your joint functioning all the way at one part of the range and all the way at the other part of the range. So the way I like to start with your shoulder is get up onto a pole, a wall. You can kind of use a door jamb. And what you're going to do is you're going to keep your body square, so I don't want you leaning forward. You're going to get into this position as much as you can. And then what you're going to try and do is pull your arm off the pole and hover back there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of spin around this way so you can see. So I come forward as far as I can get, pull back, and hover, and then relax. Come forward a little bit, stay square, no leaning forward, back, and hover that way. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to kind of work with your shoulder at the end of its range of motion. So sort of think like, right, reaching for something you can barely grab and needing the strength to pull yourself up. So what we're going to do is you're going to grab onto something, and I want you to stretch your arm as far as you can, and then I want you to feel really locked and engaged through your core, and then drive your hand out, and then step backwards. And so what you're doing is you're basically pulling your arm and saying, this is as far as I can get my arm, and then you're kind of proving to yourself that you have the strength to get it a little bit further out each time. And that trains you to get stronger in that position without having to actually be hanging from something while you're doing it. Good. So we're going to play around with some other hip stuff here now. So we're going to use the table. You basically can use anything you can figure out that gets up to the height that you need for you. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take my foot, I'm gonna plant it right on the table, and I'm gonna drive into the table, contract through my core, stable through my rib cage. And what my goal is now is to get my knee up in the air and elevate my foot so there's like enough room for someone's hand to pass underneath it, but I'm not allowed to arch backwards. So I just lift, hold, and come back down. And so if I do the other one facing this way, you can sort of see, I want this part of my back to stay tight and centered. I don't want to be arching backwards as a way of getting it up. We can repeat that same idea this way. So now we just take our hamstring, lengthen it, get really, really engaged, lift, get your leg to hover, and come back down. Same concept, we're just sort of training some of those muscles to work at the end of their range of motion, either lengthened or shortened. All right, so we're going to continue to challenge our shoulders a little bit in some weird ways. So we're going to use these kettlebells as kind of like props. And so I'm going to kind of stick one here. We're going to stick one up there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down on my stomach, and we're going to get hands out in front, and I'm going to elevate my hand off the ground, but all from my shoulder blade. So no body coming up. We're going to go here, lift up, and I got to keep it up in the air, pass each object, come back around on my back, lift up, and come back in that sort of upside down position, and rotate over. The idea is you could build this, you could play around, higher objects, lower objects, but the idea is you've got to kind of train that shoulder blade to rotate around and stay stable over different objects at different heights throughout the range of motion.